Operation Midnight Hammer. That's what the United States called its secretive and high-stakes military strike on Iran's most guarded nuclear sites, Fordow, Natanz and Isfahan. In the wake of the operation, one question dominates headlines around the world. How much damage did America actually inflict on Iran's nuclear program? President Donald Trump called it a spectacular military success. Speaking just hours after B-2 bombers rained bunker-busting bombs and Tomahawk missiles on the underground nuclear facilities, he declared the sites completely and totally obliterated. The president doubled down on Truth Social, praising what he called monumental damage and a bullseye strike. According to Trump, the bombings had not only penetrated Iran's heavily fortified enrichment halls, but destroyed what lay deep beneath the rock.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth echoed Trump's tone, calling the mission an overwhelming success that devastated Iran's capabilities, particularly at Fordow. He described the mission as a textbook example of American precision and military superiority.
Last night, on President Trump's orders, U.S. Central Command conducted a precision strike in the middle of the night against three nuclear facilities in Iran: Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, in order to destroy or severely degrade Iran's nuclear program. And as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs will demonstrate, it was an incredible and overwhelming success. The order we received from our commander-in-chief was focused, it was powerful, and it was clear. We devastated the Iranian nuclear program. But it's worth noting the operation did not target Iranian troops or the Iranian people. For the entirety of his time in office, President Trump has consistently stated for over 10 years that Iran must not get a nuclear weapon. Full stop. Thanks to President Trump's bold and visionary leadership and his commitment to peace through strength, Iran's nuclear ambitions have been obliterated. Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final blow to Iran's nuclear program, and none could until President Trump.
But behind closed doors, the tone is far more measured. A leaked Pentagon intelligence report tells a different story. Prepared by the Defense Intelligence Agency, the classified 5-page document states that although the strikes were technically accurate, their impact was far less devastating. According to the report, Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium had already been moved to alternative locations before the attack, meaning very little nuclear material was actually destroyed. The DIA estimates that Iran's nuclear program has been pushed back by only a few months, from 3 months to 6 if Tehran decided to assemble a nuclear weapon. The White House didn't take the leaked report lightly. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt slammed the leak, calling it flat out wrong and an attempt to discredit President Trump. She claimed the report was illegally leaked by what she described as a low-level loser in the intelligence community.
So we were watching closely, and there was no indication to the United States that any of that enriched uranium was moved prior to the strike. You mentioned this was a low-confidence preliminary intelligence assessment, and the entirety of that assessment was not leaked to the media. Only tidbits of that assessment were leaked to CNN. And we have seen this playbook run before, where you have people in the intelligence community, or perhaps on Capitol Hill, we don't know, but I believe the FBI is investigating to find out who that leaker was, because it's illegal, and they should be held accountable for that, leaked bits and pieces of an intel assessment to push a false narrative.
At the Pentagon, Defense Secretary Hegseth took aim at what he called anti-Trump media bias. He accused journalists of rooting against American success just to spite the president, saying, quote, "You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. That's in your DNA." To further prove the point, the Pentagon released footage of the massive bunker-busting bombs used in the attack, showcasing the kind of firepower deployed. But the United States isn't the only voice in this story. European intelligence agencies have also shared assessments, and they line up more closely with the leaked DIA report. According to one such assessment, Iran's uranium stockpile, about 408 kilograms of it, had been quietly distributed across multiple sites before the attack, meaning, despite the powerful strikes, much of Iran's nuclear capacity survived. Trump, however, quickly dismissed the report, claiming that nothing was taken out before the bombing. He argued the material was too heavy and dangerous to move in time. From Tehran, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi admitted that the damage was serious and a detailed review was underway. He said the country's Atomic Energy Organization is now assessing the cost of the damage, hinting at diplomatic consequences and even suggesting Iran might seek compensation. As Operation Midnight Hammer fades into military history, what remains is a battle of narratives. On one side, President Trump and his team assert obliteration. On the other, intelligence leaks, European reports, and Iranian officials suggest a more complicated picture. One of heavy damage? Yes, but not annihilation. So, how much damage did the United States really do to Iran? The answer, for now, depends on who you choose to believe.